They did the non-peated whiskeys from 1960 to 1991, and then they jumped back into the peated world, and they offered, and I don't know the pronunciation of this, Toiteach, Toiteach, Toiteach peated expression, and that's currently in their lineup as of today. Welcome to Whiskey is a Journey. My name is Peter Fossano. Today's journey, we're going to go ahead and stay in the Isle of Islay, but we're going to head a little bit north to Bunnahabhain, and we're going to take a look at the Bunnahabhain 12-year-old. Let's pour it, nose it, taste it, and talk about it. I think we have a pretty interesting whiskey here. This is coming from the Isle of Islay, which is typically known for their peated whiskeys. This is an unpeated offering from Bunnahabhain. The stats on the whiskey, 46.3% ABV. This is non-chill filtered, and it is also natural color. It says it on the label. It's a 750 milliliter bottle. And again, it's an unpeated offering from Islay. Let's get into the nose on this. It's a sweet smelling whiskey, dark fruit, very sherried. The sherry influence on this is giving me really sweet, dark raisins, not the golden raisins. And I'm getting a little bit of mixed fruit, the mixed dried fruit, the dehydrated. Well, actually, I don't know if it's not dehydrated. It's the fruit that you get in those granola mixes where you have M&Ms, dried fruit, peanuts, raisins. It's that type of dried fruit. It's your classic sherry notes. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. Yep, I get that initial blast of raisins, that classic sherry influence on here. And again, the mixed dried fruits. Early on in my journey, when I have a dominating flavor, it's a little bit difficult for me to pick out some other stuff. I do find something in here on the nose that I didn't get initially. Let's go ahead and get the second taste out of the way and see if I can pick up on something that I picked up on earlier today. The sherry cask flavor is dominant in this. It took a while for me to pick up on this, but on the very back end, I'm getting slight tobacco, leather, and chocolate notes. They're not very, very strong at all by any means. It is definitely sherry forward. If you like sherried whiskeys, this is definitely one that you would like. I think that you would like. Let's go for another sip and then talk about the finish. The finish is nice and silky. I do have a good oily coat of my entire inside of my mouth, my tongue, the roof of my mouth, the side of my tongue. On the back end, I get nothing but sweetness. The finish is medium to long, and throughout the entire thing, it is definitely the classic sherry notes. It's pretty good. I like it. I like it quite a bit. Let's go ahead and add some water to this and then talk a little bit about the whiskey and the distillery. Just a couple drops, nothing big. Swirl this around a little bit. I'm going to link the article where I picked up some of this in the description below, so go ahead and read that if you're interested in the history of Bunnahabhain. Also, if you're liking this information, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed already, share it with somebody in the whiskey world that might get enjoyment out of this. Turn on that bell notification because every Monday and Wednesday I will be doing a new video. And when those things get published, if you have that bell notification turned on, you'll know when I go live with the video. My Monday videos are mini series. I take individual whiskeys, whether it's Scotch, single malts, age stated. Japanese whiskeys are coming up here in a little bit. Rye whiskeys are coming up in a little bit. I did my American single malts, and I also just did a little series on Buffalo Trace Distillery. All that stuff is going to be linked in a card at the end of the video, so you can go ahead and click on that if you're interested. All right, so on the back of the label, this is saying that it is matured for 12 years in bourbon casks, sherry casks, and whiskey casks. I don't know what the whiskey casks are, but the sherry and the bourbon, ex-bourbon casks are definitely showing through. I didn't mention it, but I do get a small taste of vanilla, and I do believe that vanilla is coming from the bourbon casks. The distillery was established in 1881, and relatively speaking to most distilleries, they've been pretty much solid as far as ownership goes. They've only changed hands a couple of times, and I do believe currently they're owned by a parent company of Burns Stewart from South Africa, and it's called Distil. So Distil currently owns this, and the distillery itself has been pretty stable as far as production goes. So they were established in 1881. They initially started producing peated whiskeys from 1881 all the way through the 1960s, and then they changed gears and started producing non-peated whiskeys from Islay. And I think that kind of distinguished themselves different from other Islay whiskeys. They did the non-peated whiskeys from 1960 to 1991, and then they jumped back into the peated world, and they offered, and I don't know the pronunciation of this, Toiteach, Toiteach, Toiteach peated expression, and that's currently in their lineup as of today. They only had a couple of closings throughout their history. During the Prohibition era of the United States, 1930 to 1937, they closed. And then during World War II, 1942 to 1944, they closed down. And their most recent closure, 1982 to 1984. I don't really know why they closed down during that time, but it just shows in the records that they were closed. They had limited production at some points, but they really didn't close down completely other than those 3 dates. So after adding the water, I still have that sherry influence. It's pretty dominant here. They must have some pretty strong sherry casks because the cask influence is definitely up front with the sherry. Dried fruit, raisin, all the dark fruits, plums, dates, raisins, figs, but mainly raisins. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. All those initial notes are still there. I don't believe this changed very much at all from water to no water. Now, I did not add a ton of water, so if you are trying to figure out where the whiskey is best for you, add small amounts at a time until you go over the amount, and then you know that's where you're going to have it for the next time. Just back it off a little bit, and you should be good. Excellent, well-rounded, nice tasting, good sweetness. Let's go ahead and get on to the rating system. My rating system is out of 5 stars. Up to this point on my age-stated single malt scotches, this is absolutely my favorite. I do like the sherried whiskeys. I'm going to rank this higher than my other whiskeys. So I'm going to give this a rating of 4.35. 4.35. I think 4.5 stars is a little bit too much. This is not an outstanding whiskey, and I think 4.5 stars is starting to borderline for me the best whiskeys I've ever tasted. 4.35 seems to be a pretty good landing point for this. I like how it finishes. I like the viscosity, the oiliness, how it just coats everything evenly throughout the mouth. It has a consistent flavor with and without water. I think the 46.3 ABV holds up to the a little bit amount of water that I did add. On the nose, you still get the classic sherry notes, which I like. So 3.25. That's where I'm going to leave it today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel and you like this information, go ahead and subscribe. Give me a like if you're so inclined. Share this with somebody in the whiskey world. Turn on that bell notification. Do all those things that YouTubers tell you to do. And until next time, enjoy your journey with Craigellachie. Craigellachie 13 is my next whiskey. So go ahead and enjoy your journey, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.